Right, morning guys. So as you can hear, my little techie friend is back. Haven't heard it for a long time. So before you start moaning again, can you not turn that thing off? No, it's an electric fence unit for stock. This block during the summer is not used for any stock. It's basically the grass is grown to make feed for winter, and then during the winter, which we're going into, it's used to graze sheep on a small herd of sheep, and they just keep moving around. So unfortunately, that thing goes basically all winter. Not much I can do about it. It's not my property. I just have to put up with it. It's a bit of a pain in the ass. I know it's a pain in the ass in the background of the video, but there's nothing I can do about it. Because if I turn it off and the stock get out, well, I don't have a shed to work in probably. So this morning, now that I can't lacquer that stuff or clear coat that stuff for at least a week. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it till the middle of next week before I even try with this test piece. You know, I might give that a try Wednesday or something like that next week, because it's dry, but it's not dry, if you know what I mean. You can feel it. It's tacky, damp, but it's dry enough that you can touch it and handle it. It's quite fine, but you can still smell the smell it. It hasn't gone off, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to wet sand the balances for this thing. Wet sand them, and then start buffing them up. So I'm obviously not going to put them on straight away, but I'm going to start wet sanding all these parts. So once we get the motor and box in here, which will be hopefully soon, they are ready just to bolt on and slip them with welting and rubbers and all that sort of stuff. So at least, because basically once the motor and box is in, I would like to start putting at least all the rear end stuff on, and the balances and running boards and stuff like that. We may make, I know there's some trim pieces that go on the balances. We may make some of them at some point, but yeah, I don't know. I know that they're fairly simple. Like you could probably, if I got a pattern or rough dimensions off one, I could probably make the trim pieces out of aluminium, some aluminium plate, something like that. It would probably only have to be like, I'm guessing, sort of like 1/4 inch, 6mm, 5mm sort of type thick, bend it to the right shape, obviously to fit on, test fit it a couple of times, then trim it and shape it, and then polish it up and then screw it on. I don't think it would be a biggie. The only thing it probably wouldn't, I'd have to have a look. The only thing it probably wouldn't have would be the insignia around it, but you could do everything else to make it at least look like it was original, as close as possible. So that may happen at some point, but we'll get the car running and driving, and then some of the other pieces that are missing, if we can come across them or make them at some point down the track, even when we're doing other stuff, we might find some of those pieces and we can bring this in and put them on and whatever. But, so I'm going to start cleaning out and polishing this stuff, and I'm going to do the two valances and the rear fenders and the rear valance piece that goes over the fuel tank first, at least, and lease them if we do get the motor and box in the next week. If I can ever get these pieces back to this gearbox, at least I get the gearbox together, we can put the flywheel on the motor, because I'm not going to worry about doing any of that until at least I get the box back together, and then we can bolt all that together, slip it in the hole, and then we can do all the finishing work on the motor. Except for, I do need to ring the guy that put the motor together and just ask him what the paint was that he put on it, and then get some a colour to just give the tartar of some description, find out what he put on it. He might have it still in the can, if you know what I mean. I know it was a few years ago, but paint survives here for quite a while. Whether it's survived for this long from when that motor was done, I don't know, but it will survive a while here. But even if he's knows what the colour is, and we can get even a bit mixed up one of those pressure packs or something like that, and mask it up and spray it, and then pop it in, just to clean it up, if you know what I mean. But yeah, so anyway, I'll give this a gentle wash down with a couple of rags, get all the dust and shit off, obviously blow it down, give it a wipe down, wash down, rinse down, get all the dust and shit off it, and then I'll start sanding. Also, before I forget today, we're actually, this afternoon, we're going to go have a look at, there's a sheet metal place must have closed down, I don't know wherever, but there's going to be an auction for some of the tools that they have for sale, and I think there's a, what do you call it, B-roller, an old school one, and like a big cast, and I think there's some beverly shear and some slip rollers there. We're going to go have a look and just see what's there. There may be some other stuff. I think there's also some tooling to put on an anvil, and bits and pieces like that. So we're going to have a look and just see what they want for it and grab it, because the guy wants it anyway. Even if I don't stay here, you still got the stuff, and we'll be back at some point, so I'll be doing other work. If I do go over to the States, I'll be still coming back to do more work. And it's still cool shit having your workshop if you want to make something, so. And I know even Dad would come here and use the sheet metal work tools if he wanted to do something too, you know. But yeah, so we're going to go have a look at this stuff and grab it. And we'll have a look, see what they want for it, to the type sort of thing, see if it's worth buying, see if it's worn out. You know, and if it's worth buying, we might put a bid in at the auctions to the type thing to get it, or he will. So yeah, that'd be cool. I might do a little bit of footage of that if I'm allowed to show you. We'll at least take some pictures and show you what we're looking at. With 600 first. Very gently. And we'll just keep us, basically what I'm going to do is sand it, and once I've sort of gone from one end to the other, with a reasonable rub, we'll come back and we'll check the orange peel to see how it is, and then we'll go again. So basically just don't go gung-ho and just keep sanding and sanding and sanding and sanding until you think it's flat. Give it a good rub. Wipe it down, check it, dry it, check the orange peel, and go again. Take your time. It's damn so easy to go a little bit slower and take your time and keep checking, then go gung-ho and burn through the paint. First thing, dump your piece of paper in the bucket of water or bowl of water or whatever you're doing. Get it soft. Leave it there for a couple of minutes. So I might just turn the camera around the other way. Hopefully that picture's alright. I need a fucking better phone. One that's not scratched anyway. Righty, so I think it's looking pretty good. It needs more, just to break through that where we've been sanding it up and flattening it out and getting it cleaned up. You still see a few scratches in there, but it's pretty good. Like, I could have sanded it a bit more and taken a bit more, but I don't want to make this here better than that. You know, I could bring them both further, if you know what I mean, but I think it's, you know, once we get these really cleaned up and then give them a good wax, you know, with some probably, put some Canuba wax in it and all that sort of stuff, and then give it a good buff up, or a good polish up, you know, wax up. I think it'll look it'll look better again, because it'll just help take any, help fill any little scratches and whatever, micro scratches in the paintwork. But like, I'm not an expert buffer, but we can make it look pretty sharp. Like, it's not dead flat, but it's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with it. I know that I can do better. And if I had those proper frickin', if I get that decent paper for those Lucky Block sanding blocks, it probably would have been better. But I'm pretty happy so far. We'll keep buffing and we'll come back to you. It reflects those pretty well. That's cool. Alrighty, so I just clamped it on the side there so I could try and get a bit of buff on that piece. So I'll turn it around and down that side, pointing down, like just sitting on there normally. But I wanted to try and get a decent buff at that. So just put some cloth on here and just gently grab it at the edge where it's not going to be seen, and try to give it a another decent buff. We may give it another go at some other point, but I think for now it's probably pretty good. It's pretty good. I might give it another one before we put it on the car, maybe, if you know what I mean. But I'm just trying to get everything up to another level. You know, we will wax it and all that sort of bullshit and whatever when it's fully together, and I'm not having to worry about doing other stuff to it, if you know what I mean, climbing over it and whatever. So yeah, so I think that is as far as I'm going to go at the moment, and then we'll do another one. But it's almost lunchtime, so what I think I'll do is I'll get the other one out, sit it on here, put that one back, and you know, start the other one possibly after lunch if we get back, after we've had a look at these tools in town. We'll see what happens. Right guys, so I'm in the middle of doing this other one. I'm at 80 grit at the moment. So I went and had a look at this auction for some tools. There's some really quite interesting stuff there. This guy, he was somebody's father. The guy that was even there, he would be in his late 60s, I guess. So his father, well, he might be mid to late 60s, I guess. His father, I don't know whether he was passed or gone into a home or something like that, and he headed this old workshop in the middle of town, and he used to do a lot of metal work. Not exactly sure what he did, but it was a lot of, I'm guessing we were probably making flues for fireplaces and bits and pieces like that, but he had a lot of old gear. Like he had a big long guillotine, like bench guillotine, it would have been as long as that bench, probably longer. One of the big old ones that have the blade that lifts up like that, but it would be as long as that bench, if not longer. Had a 4-foot guillotine that was like a little table one that you jump on with your foot. He had an old bead roller that had just one die on it, and then it had a set of crimper dies. But then he had 3 or 4 other look like little bead rollers that were for doing different edgings, but they only had like a very short throat on them, so you could put like maybe a short distance in there and then tip up the edge. And it had one that was a really crazy angle thing that I've never seen before. I'll try and put some photos up. I just downloaded some photos that were on this auction site. The auction's tomorrow, and they just had boxes and boxes of just like copper rivets, like hammer rivets and all sorts of things. There was lots of other tools there too, like wooden hammers and all sorts of things for doing sheet metal work. I had a I think it would be an 8 to 10, probably a 10-foot folder or metal brake, big old one with the big, with the big counterweights. It would be, because that's 4, it would probably be 12 foot long, I'd imagine. Folder, just all sorts of things. Heaps of stuff to put in an anvil, but that was actually a bigger, slightly bigger square than this, dropping like pedestals and different shapes and bits and pieces, dollies to drop in an anvil. Just heaps and heaps and heaps of stuff. So, well, I think it was like slip rollers, 2 or 3 different slip rollers. One slip roller that had for the wire gauge in it as well. Had notches in it for different wire gauges or rod gauges. Like I could think you probably could put probably 1/4 inch rod through it. Yeah, it'll be probably 1/4 inch rod through one of them. I think would be the thickest. It was probably had the little notch in the 3 roll, well, and 2 of the rollers, another one just had the marks where they've been rolling through. All sorts of things like that, just heaps of that sort of stuff. Be really, really handy, but to have a place to put some of it. But we're half tempted to buy a slip roller, maybe the foot guillotine. I think the bead rollers and that would be handy, but with only having the one set of dies and the crimpers would be kind of limiting. It would be awesome. That was, I guess it might be an 18 or 16 inch throat, I would think. Yeah, it was about, yeah, it would be probably 16 inch throat, I think. It was about 405 mil, so it'd be about 16 inch throat. But yeah, it was beautiful old big cast bench mount. Be really, really cool. Really, it would be handy, but yeah, just a little bit limited because it didn't have a lot of the dies. Well, not that we found, but yeah, there was all sorts of tools and bits and pieces. So yeah, I was actually hoping there was some beater bags and stuff there, but I didn't spot any. But I spotted quite a few hammers, like beater hammers, nylon hammers, and slappers, and all sorts of things for doing metal work. So yeah, it'd be interesting. But yeah, unfortunately, yeah, if it was, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go tomorrow or not. But I know the owner's going to go of this workshop and the car, and I think he's going to buy. I'm pretty sure he's keen to buy some bits and pieces there. But yeah, I may go, but just see. But yeah, some of the stuff would be really quite handy to have. But yeah, we'd have a bit more time to actually look through it. Would be fucking handy too. But we're probably there for half an hour, I guess, or a bit, maybe an hour. But there was so much stuff that was awkward to look through it all, you know. And we were looking at mainly a lot of the big gear too. But I did get the guy that owned the place, or his father that owned the place. There was some steel rivets there, hammer steel rivets. And I said, oh man, that'd be handy. So I said, they're almost perfect for the fuel tank. They're slightly big, but they're exactly the same. So I think we're going to use them. He just said, oh yeah, grab a handful, put them in your pockets. Because we don't need that many. But there was copper ones there like that too. There was all different sizes and all sorts of things there. So yeah, man, there was some stuff there. But so yeah, it's a shame you just couldn't have bought it then and there, if you know what I mean. But like there was bench grinders and you name it, it was all there. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to carry on sanding this down a bit further, see if I can get it at least down to where it needs to be polished, maybe tomorrow. And yeah, we'll just carry on with all this stuff. So we get all this stuff polished up until. Yeah, either run out of polishing or I get some bits for this gearbox and stuff so I can put that together. And if not, well, I'll end up with doing the clear on that. And on this fuel tank, I need to, this is part of the reason why we're looking at the bead roller, was to put maybe at least one ring in these. But also wanted it to see if maybe it had a tipping wheel. That's what we're hoping, that he might have had a tipping wheel and stuff there for this to tip the edges of these up. I can do it by hand, but a tipping wheel would have been really, really handy because I could mark out what I need to do and just roll it around and just tip it up. That's why we're kind of looking at the bead roller. We spied it in this auction, and it's coming up here tomorrow. But there was an open thing to go and have a look because it was like at a private house, you know what I mean? So yeah, we could go there. I think you could go there for about an hour and a half and have a nosy. So we did that, but yeah. So yeah, it's well, yeah, all these pieces here are all riveted on. So yeah, I said, man, I think pretty sure they'd be pretty close to what those rivets are in that fuel tank. The guy goes, that owns it, says, oh, yeah, just grab a handful. Okay, rightio. He just put his hand in the box and pulled them out and gave them to me. And I was like, oh, yeah, sweet. Well, at least if we don't, don't buy them all, we might have some anyway. But yeah, there was copper rivets like the ones that were in the headlights and all sorts of stuff like that. It was freaking pretty cool, actually. some shit in there. But yeah, and some really cool stuff, but I'll carry on. I actually just used that DA with the 3000 pad on it, and just a slightly damp, and holy motherfucker is that, that smooth. It's like running your hand over glass. Like it's, you can see without even being polished. It's like almost polished. Compared this side's 2000. But yeah, I'll run over that now with this. It's at a lowish speed. I haven't got it set up for too fast, but I'm just going to run over this and just see it and then polish it, because I'm half freaking tempted, if it's done that on this, to run it back over it with the body with that, and then rebuff it and see what it comes up like. Because it's almost like, yeah, it has, it's like polished it. So I can imagine if you'd really cut this back and got rid of all the little imperfections, even if you had like, I don't know whether they come in like sort of, if they come in like 800 and 1500 and 2000, I think if you'd done it like that, holy moly, man, it would be flat, man. But yeah, when I draw it on this side, I might have to reduce them. That's alright. Be interesting to see what comes up like. I will play. I'll show you. Right, I'll turn you around this way, and yeah, we'll show you the difference as it goes down. It's almost like it's polished cleans it. It's crazy. That's crazy. How shiny that's. It's got like the craziest reflection on there now. I'm just going to do this piece by hand. Shitballs. Now we're fucking talking. It's not perfect yet, but yeah. Yeah. Yeah, pretty shiny. Pretty shiny. Sweet. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm so tempted to do the same thing with that freaking that car over the next day or two. Come back and just run over it with that. A couple of those. And then just give it another buff. So tempted. Because it's good, but I think it would just bring it to that. Like that's, you know, it's a little bit better. It's just that little bit better. So tempted. Shit, that looks fucking beautiful. Like it's got a little bit of swirly in it. And shouldn't say swirly, but it just needs a decent clean and a wax and whatever, and maybe another bath. But yeah. Doing the 800 and then what the 600 look like, you know what I mean? Just to pick up the difference. It is hard to see, but you can. See, this is cleaner and flatter than what this is. Or less texture in it, I guess. You know, just to see what the initial difference was. You can't see it. Bring it right here. You can definitely see where I've come up with 800 and then it's 600 on. It's quite a difference. What I might do when I've done the 800, I might come back and again and do the same with 1500 and just compare, you know, just each step, just for something different and interesting. So I'll carry on. I'll sand the rest with 800 and then we'll come back and we'll go over the whole lot and then we'll do it with 1500 and we'll just compare notes again. Oh, 1500, 800. You can see it's starting to, well, that's got a little bit of shine to it, but that's starting to actually pull almost a reflection back at you. So yes, there's definitely quite a jump between each one. It's quite interesting to see the difference. Right, so this is the difference between 2000 and 1500. So that side's 1500. No, it's not too bad. You know, you could probably buff over that, but when you compare that to the 2000, now we're really starting to get a sort of a shine on it now. You know, you got quite a reflection at that angle. It's not even that bad at 1500, but no, you can see it's cleaner and clearer. No, so if you're going to buff out some paint work, you know, wet sand it and buff it out, it's definitely worth going, you know, each stage. You know, I wouldn't start any less than 600. You know, obviously depending on what, how it's sprayed out. Now you mightn't have to start at 600. You know, you could start at 800. You know, and then jump to 1500 and 2000 and 3000. But it's definitely shows the difference each step makes, you know. So we'll finish this one and then we'll go to 3000 and we'll compare notes, especially when they're doing it side by side like that. It's quite interesting. So it's 2000, 3000. Might just give that a little rub by hand with the 3000. Feel the difference with the rag. Well, that's pretty slippery, but that's even more, you know, there's drag on it. Yeah, similar result. Similar result. I think the machine will probably get a slightly cleaner finish, but you can still do the same thing with a hand. It just takes more work, I guess. With a machine would polish it, especially if you get a nice big flat surface. Probably not ideal on on something a little bit more awkward. Just do it by hand, but anyway, you can end up with a decent result. So yeah, it's definitely worth going all that way to 3000. So I'll carry on and then we'll give it a buff. And that'll be another one done. Oh, I think we'll go with that. Like I can go further, but at this point I don't think it's much point. It's good enough that we can put it on and then we can give it a final clean up and wax and whatever, and later on, if you know what I mean, once it's together. Once it's together. Well, that looks pretty good to me. Looks pretty good to me. It just needs a little bit more detailing, if you know what I mean, but we can do that on the car. Once we get a few of these main pieces on without too much other stuff on, if you know what I mean. So that's pretty cool. Happy with that. It's quite a difference from where we started to now, and that took about an hour. Right, welcome back to NZ Mopo Outlaw Kustoms. So I'm still going through some videos. I've actually got a video loading now of the first part of doing that wood grain, of all the steps. But you probably would have seen it before this. So I finished, well, I'm in the midst of doing that. I think I finished with 800, I can't remember, or 600. I think I might have just been starting to get that knocked back. But on Saturday morning, when I was sanding, the owner of the car in the shed, we went on Friday and looked at an auction to buy some tools, some metalworking tools. So what we got is a metal shear, old school metal shear. So let me point you down here, show you. Hopefully you can see that alright, kinda. So we got this. So I think that's 3 foot, 3 foot or 4 foot or whatever it is, 3 foot, I think. Doesn't matter anyway. So yeah, we've got this for doing sheet metal, little thing. That's handy. I don't know how old it is. What brand it is, we have a brand on it somewhere. But it's old. But as long as it cuts right, that's the main thing. Or we can always tart the blade up a little bit if we have to. Hook it off and tart it up. And I'm going to set a small set of slip rolls. There was a bigger set too, but we obviously didn't manage to get the bigger set. Now we managed to get a box with some steel rivets in it, which are hammer rivets. I thought there was some copper rivets in amongst these too, but maybe they were in another box, I couldn't remember. But one lot of these I think should work for the fuel tank that we got. So I think that's the ones I brought home. I think maybe these ones might be better. These I think are a little bit smaller, but there is some other ones in here somewhere. There's just a lot of screws and all sorts of things in there, but there's these rivets, and there's the tooling to mushroom them over, if you know what I mean. Yeah, it's 3 boxes of rivets there. Also, we managed to grab these. So these are like little edging machines, I guess, for sheet metal work. For what exactly, I don't know. We need to sort of have a play with them. That's just how it can fit in the anvil. So it's got like a little. So there's this one which is similar sort of thing. This needs some repair, it's bent. But yeah, we'll have a play with them at some point and figure out what to do. And this one here, which has got it's curved and it's knurled. Like these are old as, I don't know how old they are, but they might be handy for something, if you know what I mean. And also this girl, old girl, put it on the side so the sun's not so bright. There's also this one. So we could use this as a bead roller. Okay, it's got these on it here, but it's the only really dies it's got, plus a set of crimpers which go on here, which crimp the middle one for like flues on fires and stuff like that. So these, we could get other stuff made. This one seems a bit damaged, but that's all that's going to come with it. But we could get some other dies made, or maybe just find some other ones that will fit on it. It's got a reasonable throat. It's not huge, but it's got a reasonable throat on it. I'm not exactly sure pay for it, but it's also got this backstop, so you can move this backwards and forwards. So if you wanted it exactly the same depth, it's got the little backstop there, so I guess it's handy. But yeah, and I'm not quite sure there's got an extra piece that's been put on here. Not quite sure what that's for. Maybe it's just to carry it around. Yeah. Oh, spring to help pull it up, that's what it's for. Yeah. So yeah, there's those. So yeah, that's what we got at the meantime. Right. So yeah, we managed to pick all those up. There was some other stuff there that would have been handy too, but it's a matter of having somewhere to put it. There was a massive folder, 3 times the length of that, big old school with the big counterweights on it and stuff like that. And there was a set of slip rollers that was probably double that length, which would have been handy, but it was just a matter of what you could, win, I guess, if you're prepared to go as far as the next person sort of type thing. Because the other ones did have the pieces in there for rolling round rod, which would have been quite handy too, but it is what it is. You can only get what you can get and win what you can win. So yeah, and there's lots of other stuff too, but yeah, we'll take what we can get, and it all adds to the collection. A lot of the stuff hasn't been used in years. I don't know how long it's been used for. It was an old guy's collection. He was obviously a sheet metal worker. So yeah, but that guillotine will be really freaking handy, and everything else will definitely have its use too. I'm not sure about these, once we have a bit of a play and see what we can achieve with them. They might be handy enough for doing little edges and bits and pieces, turning stuff over, but like this here would be handy enough, but it would be nice to have some extra dies. But yeah, it is what it is. We'll go with that. But you could almost use that as a tipping wheel too, because it's skinny. It hasn't got like the extra piece out there. You could basically you'd almost use it as a tipping wheel. I'm guessing. I'm not really sure. It's a bead roller, but it's not a bead roller. But yeah, it wouldn't be hard to get some more dies made for, or see if some of the other more modern dies would fit it. But I think the shafts too would be too big. I don't know. Matter of just getting some and finding out, I guess. But yeah, so it will be interesting to see when we play with these and just see what they're capable of doing, and sort of shapes and bits and pieces. Could be handy enough. Or at the end of the day, you could always clean them up and non-sell them to somebody else that may better use them more for what their purposes. But yeah. Anyway, so that's some interesting stuff we've got. So yeah, I'm going to go back to sanding, I guess, and yeah, and probably later in the week. I was meant to be at a funeral today, but it's not until Wednesday. We thought it might have been big today. As you probably would have seen on the end of the video that I'm putting up today, as me recording this. Yeah, my cousin died last Thursday, about lunchtime or thereabouts. So yeah, that was expected. We just didn't know when. He's the same age as me, or basically the same age as me. So yes, pretty sucky, but it's unfortunately life sometimes. But yeah. So yeah, that'll be Wednesday. So I'll go up Wednesday. I actually went up there yesterday to see his brother that had flown over from Australia. But because of the shortage of flights and stuff, he was going to change his flight to go back a little bit later. But that was another month before he could get a flight to go home again. So it wasn't really ideal. So he's flying out tomorrow. So we shot up at the weekend to see him. But yeah, we kind of briefly seen him for a wee while. But yeah, things were a bit messy up there. But I won't go into that. But yeah, so I managed to sort of see him, but not really. Seen him for probably, I don't know, I suppose an hour or so. Sort of kind of had a yarn to him, but then they had to go away and do some other stuff and sorting out funeral stuff and whatever. So they just didn't get a chance for them to come back, and we weren't really planning on staying, the night or anything like that, because still got to keep working. So yeah, but anyway, that's what that is. So hopefully, maybe Thursday I might have a go at spraying these. It's an extra day, won't hurt. See how the stuff turns out. Hopefully we don't have any issues clear coating it. And so yeah, hopefully we don't have any issues clear coating it. Hoping, we can only try with this test piece first. Yeah, that one. We'll try with that one first for the clear coat. Give it a gentle flick over and whatever, and see if it'll hold without doing anything queer. And yeah, we'll just have to, I guess, play with it and see if it works. That's all we can do. Hopefully we don't end up having to redo it all again. But if it does happen that way, well, it's not much I can do about it, if you know what I mean. But I'm pretty happy with the way the grain and everything all turned out there. I've got some interesting sort of patterns that look like it could be almost knots. I tried to have it almost clean wood, because like when they're making this sort of stuff, there's not really knots. They wouldn't put knots in this sort of stuff because it's with the vibration it would break. With thin, if they did cut stuff thin like this. Now, if that was a solid bit of timber, but it was thin like that, and it had a knot in it, it's going to break. So they wouldn't have knots in this, if you know what I mean. Maybe in the dash, but kind of tried to make a couple of spots look like there might have been a knot close, but that was missed. Like there might have been a knot in here, and that was part of the grain coming back through. I tried to make a little bit of stuff like that. Or maybe there was a knot in here and it was cut out. They went round it. You know what I mean? That's the sort of things that they would have done. They would have tried to, if there was a knot in here, they would have missed it. You know what I mean? They would have put it in the centre and cut that piece out and kept the rest of it clean, so it didn't break it if it was real timber. Because a couple of people have asked me, because I posted some pictures, and they said, "Oh, did you put any knots?" And I said, "Well, no, I tried to keep it looking like clean timber. That they managed to get enough timber out to, and the pieces that they made it from, to make it clean, which is normally what they would try and do with this sort of stuff. You're not going to be using knotted wood to make this sort of thing, because it would just break. It's like furniture. You don't put knots and arms of chairs and stuff like that, because they break. That's a weak point. They're going to break, so it's kind of the same thing. Like I could have put maybe some little reminiscences of maybe a knot starting or something like that, but I just tried to make it look like there might have been one in here and they removed it, and that may have been a little bit of the grain where the knot kind of was close to, but it was sort of coming through but wasn't coming through, if you know what I mean. That's kind of what I did there. I didn't really sort of speak much about it when I was doing it. That's just kind of what I was thinking. I was trying to make the grain, so, but, you know, can't please everybody. So yeah, we'll carry on. I'll get this fenders sanded and whatever and cleaned up. And hopefully, yeah, we will get this stuff all sorted by the end of the week. And hopefully we might be able to get these gearbox pieces back so I can get that gearbox together. It's just a matter of chipping away at it, and hopefully we can get this thing together. So I'd like to get that 24 Dodge in here. Because if I can get this stuff out of the road, I can slip that 24 Dodge in here and start working on that until we get this finished already, you know what I mean? Or I might even better slip it in front while we're working on this. You know, once I sort of get this stuff on, or get some of that stuff away, I can sit a lot of that stuff over there and we can get it out of the road, if you know what I mean? Like it'll come together, we'll gain some space back. As in taking stuff off that Dodge, I can sit it down there until we'll start working. And then that'll probably be out of the road, and you know, it'll work around, but it's just a matter of getting it done. And I want to get that in there soon, and the guy wants me to get in here soon. Because he wants to sell the house that it's in. He wants to get it all cleaned up and get that house sold too, so it's kind of partly why he wants it out of his head. Oh, the other piece I got polished up the other day was that. I should have did that off camera. Had a wee play and cleaned it up. It needs another buff, but I just sort of polished it by hand, if you know what I mean. I just thought when I was doing some more at some page, I'll start buffing, maybe that or something like that. Or when I got the buff handy, I might just crank it up and rub it across.